students breathe down your neck. That is the block party.
Hudson finishes off Kentucky.
Purdue gets to celebrate. They take down number 3.
And the Boilers have done it. They advance to the Sweet 16 for the 5th time.
Welcome back to the Dig City Podcast, presented by Franciscan Health, the official medical provider of Purdue Athletics. I'm Corey Palm. He's head coach Dave Shondell. And Coach, we got a jam-packed show here today. We'll start with, recaps of last week's action, and certainly talk about this week's matchups. A couple tough ones on the docket this week. We'll get into that, but
two of the biggest names in college volleyball.
Yeah.
On the docket this week, with the trip to Penn State Thursday, and then the women of Troy, USC coming in here on Saturday. So, what more can you ask for?
Yeah,
it's going to be a great week.
It's going to be a great week. We're going to make it great. That Saturday night match is senior day. We'll talk a little bit about the seniors this week as well.
Okay.
And what the postseason forecast looks like for the Boilermakers. So we're going to cover a lot of ground. Let's start with the great stuff up front. A couple of matches this week, a couple of sweeps. Your Boilermakers have now given up one set in the last 6 matches. Really playing well at this moment.
We're playing well. Wins and losses have a lot to do with who you're playing as well, and I'm not taking a thing away from the competition we've had, because if you're in the Big Ten Conference, you have all the means necessary to be really good.
Yeah.
And a lot of really good teams in our league. Of the 18 teams, there's going to be 9 as of right now that will be in the NCAA tournament, according to what I understand. I was hoping to be more than that. We've had 9 when we had 14 teams before. And now you've added 4 really good teams, 3 of which I believe will be in the tournament. The 4th is outside the bubble looking in my opinion. That would be the UCLA Bruins. They've just lost a few too many as of right now, but if they finish strong, they got a shot, okay? But yeah, what was your question? Was there one?
There really wasn't one. I was just talking about how well your team is playing. You take care of business against Rutgers and Illinois.
Yeah.
Illinois is a top 30 RPI team.
Yeah, and I'll say this. I thought in both those matches we played well. And I didn't talk directly to the 2 head coaches afterwards, but some of my staff did.
Mm-hmm.
And both those coaches walked away feeling as if they had played a really good team on that particular night, and being our Purdue Boilermakers. And as a head coach, you have an idea how well your team plays. And I think we're playing really well.
Yeah.
And you've been around, I'm not sure how long we've been doing the show, but we've been good friends for a long time. And when I feel like we've got a good team. And we always have a good team, but I think this team's special. I think this team is getting better all the time, and they prepare themselves very well for every match. They practice hard. They're doing all the things they need to do to be a very, very competitive team in a really strong field.
Well, and that's what you've been talking about since August, since we kicked off this 6th season of the Dig City Podcast. You talked about, this team has greatness is possible, but we're not there yet.
Yeah.
The whole goal, you mentioned it again in September, the whole goal is to get there by the time it really matters. And we're to the point where it really matters. Postseason is a couple weeks away.
Yeah.
And do you feel like your team has continuously stair-stepped and is kind of in that peak zone?
Yeah, and as I've mentioned before, we were not very good the first 12 matches of the season. We just weren't. And a lot of that was just the approach that we were taking coming into the gym every day. It wasn't bad, but it wasn't as good as it needed to be. Part of that was we had a couple people that just weren't 100% healthy. We have still a fairly young team, and we're still trying to mature and figure some things out. But we've taken a big jump once Big Ten play got underway. And you're either going to be really good or you're going to get beat.
Right.
And right now we're sitting at 13-3 in the Big Ten Conference. Our 3 losses have been to Penn State, Wisconsin, and Nebraska. And those 3 teams are all ranked in the top 5 in the country. I don't say that because I'm happy that those 3 teams beat us, because I'm not. We should have beaten Nebraska. We had them right where we wanted them. We did not play well against Penn State, and they played very well against us. And against Wisconsin, I don't know if we played well or not. They didn't give us a chance to find out, okay? We just, you can watch even that tape and not be sure how well you played. Wisconsin was just loaded for bear on that particular night. They did the same thing to Penn State about a week later. So they're as good as anybody right now. Wisconsin is as good as any team in the country. This week, Wisconsin's got Minnesota tonight, if this show goes out today, which I know you'll do your job and get it out. But then on Saturday, they play Nebraska again, this time at Nebraska.
That's a tough week.
So, yeah, it's a tough week, but I would anticipate Wisconsin maybe winning those. They swept Nebraska when they played them last time. I just think Wisconsin's playing as well as anybody in the country.
That's
With the exception of Pitt.
right.
Pitt has just shown no sign of holding back. I mean, they're just hitting on all cylinders every time they step on the floor, killing people in their league right now.
Given the way that first Penn State match went, nobody's out there bucking for, double plays against Nebraska or Penn State or Wisconsin. You're not going to ask for that ever. But are you kind of glad you get to see the Nittany Lions again to maybe try and
I don't know if
engage?
anybody's ever glad
Yeah.
to see Penn State volleyball on their docket, on their schedule. But I think that we need to prove that we're a better team than we were the last time that we played them. Our situation right now is we'd like to finish high in the Big Ten. And I told our players the other day, this thing goes well down the stretch, we can finish second in the Big Ten.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, those teams, the top three ahead of us right now, are playing each other a few times here in the last 2 weeks. And our schedule's tough with
It is.
Penn State, USC, Oregon, and Washington. That's as tough as anybody, okay? But that can help you just as well. It can put another loss on them. It can help you with the RPI. We're not playing teams now with 5 and 18 records like we played back-to-back, it seemed like a while ago. And so now everything we do, if we win, it shows a big improvement in our RPI. So there's a lot to play for right now. But certainly going to Penn State and finding out if we can compete at a better level than what we did the last time, if we can be better prepared as a coaching staff and help our team understand what they need to do to really go after these guys. That'll be a real challenge for us, and one I think we're looking forward to.
That's awesome. To your point, all 4 teams left on your schedule have winning records. Washington's the worst, if you want to put it that way, at 19-7, 9-7 in the league play. Oregon is right behind you in the standings. USC's right behind them in the standings. So, yeah, top 6, top 7 teams in the Big Ten matchups. A lot to be decided still. I think, obviously you're in the postseason, but that's about all we know at this point.
Yeah, I think I would say, of course, us being part of NCAA, we can't bet on anything, maybe except a picnic football game of some sort for the family. And that might be frowned upon by the NCAA folks. But anyway, back to what your question is that I think right now, we have about a 75% chance of hosting here at Purdue. That would be my speculation. I think that if we take care of business down the stretch, we will be hosting. We're ranked 8th in the country. Who wants to see Purdue coming to their sub-regional? I mean, number one, it wouldn't necessarily be fair to us.
It wouldn't.
But it really wouldn't be fair to whoever else you want to name. Okay, let's say Texas is going to be the 10 seed or 11 seed or whatever they might be. They want to see Purdue coming, okay? I just don't think that's a good idea any way you look at it, because our team can play, we'll compete. We're a tournament team. We always play well in the tournament, and we will again this year.
Definitely. These tournaments are not set up to get Elite 8 quality matches in the second round. That's supposed to be what you're avoiding, to get your best teams playing against each other. Upsets happen, of course, and we all love that, but yeah, I totally agree. Like you said,
here's how this is. We're ranked 8th in the country, okay? Been that way for a couple of weeks, been in the top 10 virtually all season.
Yeah. 1 week, I think, to
The
11.
RPI currently has us at 20 or 21, depending on what hour it is. It kind of wavers back and forth depending on who played that day and how many of your competitors won or lost. So 21, which doesn't put you in the top 16.
Right.
Okay? And with our committee that seems to have a narrow scope at looking at the RPI, that would not put us in the tournament. Although I think that they're wise enough to know better. The KPI, which seems to be something that they're looking at now more than what they ever have before, has us at 14. There's other ratings like the Massey rating, which does all sports and does a really good job of it. Matter of fact, when I look at all of these different things, the Pablo, the Massey, the RPI, the KPI, the one that really makes most sense to me when you look at the way teams are ranked is the Massey. And I don't know why, because I don't know what their formula is.
Yeah.
But it's another mathematical formula based on wins and losses of you and the teams you play and points you score and things like that. RPI doesn't even consider set scores. They don't consider, did you win 3-1 or did you win 3-0 or was it a 5-set match?
18-60 in the fifth.
Doesn't
yeah.
show points.
Wow.
So it's just basically, did you win or lose?
A couple of things to put an even finer point on this. If you look at teams that are currently in the top 16 in the RPI, there's Kentucky, who's 17-7, who you beat head to head. They're at 10th right now.
Yeah.
There's Utah, who's 21-5, similar record, same record, swept them on their home court.
They got to look at that too, though, and I think that they will.
And if they
Again, I'm not trying to bash anybody.
Right.
Only thing I'm bashing is the RPI. That's not even a person, right?
it's just
It's
computers,
the
yeah.
computer situation,
Yeah.
right? Okay, so it's not really, nobody should get too sensitive about that. I just don't think it's a good system, and I think the NCAA makes that decision on whether or not that's something we're going to look at. I don't know if that's not even something that our coaching association has any control over that I know of. If it was, we'd have got rid of it a
A
long
long time ago, absolutely, because I'm pretty confident it's fairly unanimous, your feelings on the RPI across your brethren, your peers across the country.
It certainly is in this room.
Definitely, we've seen it. So that being said, like you said, about 75-80% chance that you feel confident in hosting.
You said 80, I said 75.
Okay, 75. That sort of assumes, you take care of business here these last couple weeks, and you've got tough matches this week, and then a tough road trip next week. You feel like your team's ready for the test ahead of them. Who specifically do you think is really playing really well right now? I've got some names, but I'm curious to hear yours.
I'm pretty pleased with everybody right now. Just their mentality, the development that they're making. Eva Hudson, you heard me say at the start of the season, thought she was one of the 5 best players in college volleyball. For non-conference play, she wasn't. It wasn't her fault. She played USA volleyball this summer, got dinged up a little bit there, came back and maybe was overcompensating for that and had another issue and was playing at about 75%, okay? And it wasn't really until we got about a third of the way through the Big Ten that she became healthy again and started playing like she's capable. But she certainly is carrying a big load. Chloe Chacoin is a do-everything player. Both those kids are, but nobody's passing the ball better in the Big Ten right now than Chloe Chacoin. That's a big deal. Serving tough, playing great defense, just doing all the things, big and little, to help us go. Our setter's doing a tremendous job. She's growing daily. Just I think emotionally and from a leadership standpoint, doing a really, really nice job for us. Horning, one of the most improved passers I've ever seen in 1 year. And she gets a lot of balls served to her because her early numbers weren't very good and people aren't looking at what she's done lately. But she's sticking the ball. I call it stickability.
Okay.
When you stick every pass right to target. And she's doing a really nice job with that. Our middles, we're expanding their game, as it's been our focus all season long, to get them the ball more often and get them in different spots where they can score. And Raven Colvin's sitting about 355 on the season. Right behind her is Lourdes Myers at about 345. I told them the other day what I wanted them to do was get to 400, to where they're starting to hit at a 400 clip. And when that happens, look out.
Yeah.
Okay. Our right side play has been good. Kenna Woolard has been a really consistent player for us and has had great practice after great practice. And then Lizzie Carr has stepped in that spot, giving us a much bigger presence size-wise from a blocking standpoint, but she's also finding ways to put balls on the floor, take them off the block and tool the block. So that's been a good change, is having now some depth in that position that we feel comfortable with. Ryan McAleer playing great in the right back position, just a tremendous job defensively. So, those are the people that are getting the bulk of the playing time. I don't think I've forgotten anybody. Julia Kane comes in and serves a little bit and has one of the best serves on our team and then can play defense and make plays. So I just think we're moving in the right direction, but we have a lot of room for growth. We still have, take Raven Colvin, who's in her senior year and has 4 more regular season matches. She can go to another level. She can absolutely get to another level before this season is over, and that's what we're looking for.
That's so awesome to be able to say that about a player like Raven, who's been very good for a very
Fairly
long time.
athletic kid.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she has her moments. You've still got, we talked a little bit earlier in the season. You've had these two left side hitters who play all 6 rotations, and that gives you flexibility with how you can sub and how you can run some of your lineups.
Yeah.
Are you doing a little bit less of that now, or are you still taking full advantage of those extra subs?
It's set to set.
Depends.
Set to set, match to match. Depends on how well Raven's serving the ball on that particular night. It's not just serving, you've also then got to go in and make a defensive play.
Yeah.
Okay? And she's good. She's good. She's not great defensively, but she's good. She hasn't played enough to be great. But if you use Julia Kane in that spot, you might get a similar serve, but she's a little bit more comfortable making defensive plays or setting the second ball and some things like that. But Raven's been more consistent this year serving the ball than she even was last year when she led our team in aces.
Yeah.
Okay, I just haven't given her as many opportunities back there because we've had other people that are capable of doing similar things. And then Eva, we were using a server for her at times because I didn't think she was getting enough pop on her serve.
Okay.
And Eva doesn't like to come out of the game. Okay, and so she started working on her serve a lot more. And all of a sudden it started to click. And now she's getting a much tougher serve coming off her hand that's making it difficult on some people. Even picked up some aces in the last couple of matches. So we still have that flexibility to use more players in ways, which is great. That you get late in a match or late in a set, and you're not worried about how many subs you got. You can do whatever you want to do because of the luxury that Chloe and Eva bring to your team.
We let's put a pin in it right now. Let's take a break, and when we come back, we'll talk a little bit.
Got a lot to cover still.
We do, I know.
It's going to be a big second half.
It's big second half coming straight after the break.
The Dig City Podcast is brought to you by Franciscan Health, the official medical provider of Purdue Athletics. At Franciscan, we are inspiring health. Now back to the show.
We've already mentioned Saturday night against USC is senior night. Coach, you've already mentioned that Raven has 4 regular season matches left in her Purdue career, which is with the ability to go to another level, which is unfathomable to me. Let's talk about your senior class. We'll start with her. I know she was a big name when you got her, but maybe a bit of an unknown entity at top level club volleyball in high school. It could not have worked out better.
No, it couldn't have. But we knew what a high character individual that Raven Colvin is, and freakish athlete, but undersized. Now there's a lot of undersized middles that play because they're just so athletic, and she's kind of been a leader in that. But Raven brings this toughness, this competitiveness, this confidence to our team that I'd hate to go on the floor without. And then she's the top blocker in the league right now. She's blocking more balls than any other player in the Big Ten Conference. 18 of the best teams in the country, she's the top blocker. Offensively, she gets on the ball right now, getting on it quick and developing even more and more shots, even as we speak. But what she brings more than anything is just that consistency, that leadership, that knowledge that our teammates know we can count on her. And that's all you can ever ask for. And again, her ceiling is so high that she's got a handful of matches left with Purdue. Then she's going to go play professionally. And she's going to be so much fun to watch at the professional level because I think she can just continue to climb.
It's wild to think, that she can continue to develop, and we've seen that with former players who go to the pro level, and once they're able to devote their entire life to something, instead of 20 hours a week, that they can take that next step, and we fully wouldn't be surprised at all with Raven. She's got the entire book open to her as far as pro options.
Well, she writes her own books too.
Yeah, she does.
But no, she's going to be a great pro. And by the way, I want to wish Sheridan Atkinson, talking about people who have gone to another level as well. Professionally, Sheridan Atkinson's birthday today. So Hope she has a great day, and she's been just a wonderful representative of Purdue.
She has. I still remember when you brought her in for her recruiting trip.
Yeah.
We met to talk about video production.
Oh, that's right.
Back in the day, that's what she wanted to do, and maybe there's still a future.
Well, I
in it
think
for
that
her.
what she still likes to put herself out there in front of the camera, and she's going to play with Grand Rapids next year.
Awesome.
She's been overseas playing different places. Was in Greece this last year, and now she's going to be with Grand Rapids back in the Pro Federation, I believe it's called. Trying to keep track of all the different leagues we have now. We used to have 0 leagues.
Yeah.
And now we've got 3. But she's going to be in Grand Rapids, as will Jenna Otek. So they'll be teammates playing for Kathy George, who's the head coach, former Michigan State skipper,
Yep.
who is now the head coach. And so, yeah, happy birthday to Sheridan Atkinson.
That's awesome. Moving down the roster here, Raven Gray has only been on the team for a little while, but I know she's made an
She's
impact.
a treat. She's an absolute treat. And we brought her in when we found out that Emily Rastovsky was not going to be able to play this year due to a medical situation, and we needed the depth. And then we'd also had lost Grace Heaney.
Yep.
So 2 right side players were gone, and we had to find somebody to come in that could give us something. We didn't know how much it was going to be. Well, fortunately, we have stayed healthy, for the most part. I don't know if we got Wood here or not, but we want to stay that way. But Raven's been great for this team. She's a real positive, mature individual. She graduated from her Division III school. What was the name of the place again?
Winston-Salem State.
Winston-Salem State. She was the Conference Player of the Year there at a Division II school. Graduated early. She's going to be at Baylor this spring.
Okay.
With graduate school. And so she's very, very smart, very motivated, and has brought a lot of positive things to this team. You can always hear her on the bench. You can always hear her in practice saying positive, productive things to her teammates all the time. And she has made a real positive difference here.
It's so important to have that veteran off the court. When you look at this roster, it's still pretty young. You're still relying on a lot of freshmen and sophomores to go out there and make an impact, to have somebody they can look up to, to maybe do the right thing when it comes to everything else. It's not volleyball.
And she's unselfish. She's a great teammate. She's probably played in about 4 matches since she's been here. And she wants to play. Every competitive athlete wants to play. But she's also wise enough to look around and know that you can't just put people in the match for fun when you're in the Big Ten. You just can't do that. It just can't happen. And so when we need her to play, she's ready to play, and she's done a great job for us. But most of her help has come in practice, where she's been on the other side of the net, playing the role of some other player we're getting ready to play or whatever, but she's made good progress while she's here.
Well, that's what a lot of folks, maybe don't think about. And I'll sit on in practice every now and again, and you'll see you've got some of your male practice players, but you've also got some of your other players playing roles, and they're a scout team. They're asked to do a certain thing to get your team prepared.
Yeah, and Allie Shondell, who is my niece, runs the offense for that team. She has to know exactly, like for example, what is Penn State going to try to do against us? What hitters are getting the ball most frequently, or what routes are they running? So she's got to come in with our staff and watch tape on her own, so she's well prepared to do that, and she's done a great job with that as well.
Lourdes Myers, she's a redshirt senior. I'm not sure exactly what her eligibility is.
I think she can play forever.
I think
that's her rule.
I like that rule.
I'm just kidding. Lourdes, this is her 5th year, but she took a medical redshirt, and then she has the COVID season.
Right.
So she actually has another year remaining.
Okay.
I think her current plan is to use that year here at Purdue. That's what our hope is, because she may have improved as much as any player this season, which is kind of interesting because usually by the time you get to your 5th year, you may not have as much room.
Right.
But she's very athletic, and she was stunted with some issues early where she couldn't do all the things she wanted to do. But she's been a starter for us now for 3 years in succession, and is playing at the top of her game right now. And again, like Raven Colvin, she's got a lot of room to continue to go. But she's starting now to feel really comfortable with who she is on the floor, as developing great rapport with Taylor Anderson, the setter, and is just playing with a really good look on her face all the time, both from an offensive and defensive standpoint. And Lourdes is kind of, used to be really quiet, okay?
Yeah.
She's kind of come out of that shell as well, and she wants to be a leader. She knows that in the world to be successful, you have to go out and be a little more assertive and be a little more aggressive. And so it's been fun to watch that transition with her.
Definitely. Allie Hornan, we know her eligibility. Unfortunately, this will be her final year. She's also really blossomed this season.
Yeah, she's had a tremendous season, and you don't go anywhere in the Big Ten without having a big-time libero.
Yeah.
And she got the call to have that job, and we saw it last spring. Process began where she started to change from being a defensive specialist that played 3 rotations to being able to be on the floor for really 11 out of the 12 half rotations that you have in the sport of volleyball. She's only out of the game. Actually, she's not out of the game at all. Except, she's out of the game when one of the middles has to serve the ball in
Right.
1 half rotation. So, but her game has been fantastic. Defensively, I think right now she's as good as any libero in the game in our league defensively. Just makes a ton of plays. She brings a lot of energy. The teammates love her. They absolutely love her. And then her passing has just developed. Her serving has gotten a lot better. So, you think that you can't get any better. Sometimes players feel like, oh, I am who I am.
Yeah.
Well, here's a kid that's been playing for probably since she was about 6 years old, all right, and has made a huge jump in the last 2 months, 3 months. It's just been incredible. And my relationship with her has been fantastic. You got to have that good relationship with the leaders on your team. And, her situation was that she came here thinking that she was going to be earmarked as a libero early in her career. Great athlete, great volleyball player, played great. Well, all of a sudden, Jen Otek stays an additional year because of the COVID situation, which we were all happy about.
Yep.
Okay, and had a great 5th year. And then all of a sudden, you've got Skimmerhorn. Okay, she stays for a 5th year. So that really affected how quickly that Allie was going to be able to jump into that libero role. But now she's there, and she's taken advantage of every second of it, and she's just been fantastic.
You give her a ton of credit too, because in this day and age, it's never been easier to leave. It's never been easier to go find a different situation. I won't say better or worse, but a different situation.
Yeah.
I will also say every time we're watching you guys on TV, my wife, who's an academic advisor here on campus, is sure to point out that number 10, Allie, is her student, and,
Oh, is that right?
there's a lot of pride there. She's a big fan of Allie Hornan, the person.
She has a big-time personality,
Mm-hmm.
big-time personality, and has a little bit of sarcasm. I told her that the other day, and I said that's the problem. Sometimes sarcasm and sarcasm don't always
That's true.
fit beautifully together. But I've really enjoyed having her on our team, and she's got a bright future in whatever direction she goes.
And then somebody else that can be said for Sydney Yim, senior setter, who I'm sure came here with more playing time in mind, but she's really been important to this program.
She's one of my favorite players of all time, just because of the demeanor that she carries with her all the time. And I'm sure she wanted to do more. Everybody does.
Everybody does, absolutely.
I hope so. I hope everybody wants more than what they've got. That's the competitive spirit that we have to have if you're going to be successful in life. But she has done whatever we've asked of her, and she's done it with a smile on her face, and very well appreciated by all the people on our team and all the coaches that we have on our roster. But she's 6 foot, has done a great job. She's run the second unit a lot. She's had some injuries, that have impacted her. She tore an ACL recently. We didn't know if we'd even have her back this year, and she came back in miraculous time. I mean, her mom told her she was going to do it because it runs in the family. She said they had one of Cindy's brothers had torn an ACL and came back in a record-breaking time, and she thought that Sid would do the same thing, and she did. And so to have her back and to have her be able to enjoy being a big part of this team, when we thought maybe after she tore that ACL, we wouldn't see her, wouldn't see her on the floor, and she has. But she brings a lot to this team. And again, you talk about somebody who's going to be successful in life, mark it down. She's going to be a great success. And that entire group, look what they've done during the time that they were here. And look, now they're taking us to what I think is maybe as good of a team as maybe we've ever had. That remains to be seen. That'll be dictated by how far they go in the NCAA tournament. That's how that works,
Yeah.
in case you don't know.
It is. Yeah.
That's how that was, not how many games you win during the regular season. It's what do you do when it comes down to crunch time. But this group has been beyond special to me.
And then you mentioned Emily Rostovsky earlier.
Skeeter,
Yeah.
call her, yeah.
She just a redshirt junior by eligibility, but had the medical out. So I imagine she'll go through some.
She will. And Emily is every now and then, I'd say if I picked an all teammate team, which is the people who are most unselfish, most caring about their teammates, that positive, wants what's best for the team beyond anything else, she'd be on that team. So, when people are looking for who they want to hire in their workforce, who they want to have on their work team, Emily Rostovsky. Number one, she's brilliant. She's brilliant, okay? But she's also just an amazing person, just an incredible woman that I think we've been so fortunate to have, in our program. But as I mentioned, I think on the press conference, I think she would have started the season starting on the right side for our team. She was big, physical. She's 6'2", and was touching about 10'5". Last time she was really healthy and could do things, and was just starting to figure some things out. And that's when she had and I can't get into what the medical issue is, but because I really don't know what it is for one reason, but it was something that she literally went to probably 4 or 5 specialists, and they could not figure out how they could make it better to where she was able to swing at a ball without pain. So, she didn't want to give it up, but she did. She's been with us at all of our home matches. I think she's going to sing the national anthem for us when we play University of Southern California on senior night.
That'll be awesome to see. Can't wait to see that.
It's a great group.
Yeah.
That we're gonna send on their way, but at some point in time they got to go.
They do. That's the nature of the beast. Yep. Well, we've talked about the seniors. Let's talk briefly. I know we spent a lot of last week's show talking about the new signees. We're not going to do that again, but you've got some kind of late-breaking news on a few of them. The ABCA High School All-American team was announced earlier this week.
And they picked 24 players from the entire country to put on that first team. And this organization does a really good job. It's not like some of these pop-up website deals. But these guys have a great committee, and they get all the information, and they do a nice job. And we had Addie Tyndall from Homestead High School, and we had from Bennett Academy, Anaya Warren on the first team. 24 players from the country on that first team, and 2 of our incoming players were on that team. And then the second team, we had Isabel Barden out of Flint High School out east. And so to have 3 of our 4 signees on there, and the other players playing down in Enterprise, Alabama, and they were very competitive.
Yeah.
Went to state finals, but I don't think she's as well known as some of these other players via club, volleyball, whatever it might be. But it just shows, when I was excited about this class, when we signed a week ago, now you know why.
Yeah.
And I'm glad. Funny thing about Isabel Barden, who made the second team, she's not getting the kind of ratings on some of these, social media sites. And I'm wondering, has anybody seen her play?
What are they looking at? Yeah.
There used to be a really good site, okay? And that site's still there, but in my opinion, it's not as complete and thorough in how they're doing it. And it used to hit it right on. They had a lot of help. This guy had a lot of people helping him. He wasn't trying to do the whole country by himself.
Right.
But anyway, where we are right now is we got 3 people in those first 2 teams, 2 on the first team, and I think they're all very deserving.
That's congratulations to those young ladies, and we just can't wait to get you here on campus and see you in Old Gold and Black. It's going to be a lot of fun for a long time to come. Coach, I think we covered everything. We've been going for a while now. We will not have a show next week. With the holiday and your West Coast road trip, you guys are leaving it a bit early.
That's going to disappoint a lot of people.
I know. So the next time you'll hear us, we'll know all about postseason.
NCAA tournament.
NCAA, the selection for that is Sunday night. I believe it's December the 1st.
Yeah.
And I know in the past, I'm not gonna
we'll have-
spill the beans here, but I know in the past you've had a bit of a gathering.
Yeah,
for
the
that.
arena will be open to the public in the Spurgeon Center, which is part of Mackey Arena, right across from CVS bookstore is the entrance to that particular area of Mackey, and we'll be there with our team and hoping for a great draw.
Hoping for a great draw, hoping for a great finish to the season.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, the draw will be dictated by the next 4 matches. It's funny that obviously what we've done already has been really helpful.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. I mean, we're 13-3 in the Big Ten, and we're 22-5. I think overall,
that's right.
against what I think was a really good schedule. But at the end of the day, it comes down to these last 4. How are we going to compete and be ready to play and match up with 4 really good tournament teams down the stretch?
Well, these schedule makers knew what they were doing to get an exciting finish to the Big Ten season.
Be a lot of good matches down the stretch for sure.
Well, good luck, safe travels, and can't wait to see what happens.
All right, boiler up.